Hey everybody, this is Tea Time with the Diva. Grab your tea, grab your coffee, because we're going to get into it. This Tea Time is dedicated to Diddy, whose trial started Monday, May the 5th. Now, before his trial started, he was looking for a female black lawyer to join his team. Okay, he has an army of lawyers. Listen, I don't know exactly what they're doing, and I don't know if having 35 lawyers on your team is going to make a difference. These are diva thoughts. I personally feel that if you have two lawyers who have a good strategy and know what they're doing to defend you, I think that could probably get the job done. But he feels adding more lawyers, I guess, on his team is what's going to help him. So he has the money. So go for it. And for these lawyers, go ahead and get your check. If he's giving the money away, you might as well go ahead and collect your check. But it's interesting that the female black lawyer that joined his team is interesting because she is a SA survivor, and it's interesting that she doesn't mind defending someone who is being accused of a crime that she suffered from back in her earlier years, right? So let me go ahead and share screen so we could get more into this story. So Diddy, new lawyer says she survived SA. So Nicole Westmoreland, the newest lawyer on Diddy's team, is a survivor of SA because she was allegedly AR'd back in 2001. The powerhouse attorney who officially joined Diddy's team this morning was just 19 years old back in 2001 when she worked for a company that helped people reinstate suspended driver's licenses. So according to Nicole, Brian Williams, vice president of Cash Money Records, and a man named Stone, met her and asked her to make a sales pitch to the company at Patchwork Recording Studio in Atlanta. One night, Nicole says she and three female friends went to the recording studio where a large gathering was taking place. According to Nicole, a man named Alfred Cleveland was there, and she says he was a friend of Ronald Williams, the then president of Cash Money Records and Brian's brother. During the evening, Nicole says she went to use the restroom and Cleveland offered to show her where it was. Nicole says Cleveland got her to the bathroom, forced her inside, and AR'd her. I will never, ever understand what a person gets out of AR'ing somebody. I just will never understand it. She claims another man came to the door, during which Cleveland allegedly told him to keep guard and then allegedly tried to pass her off to him. But Nicole says she begged him not to, and he let her go. Nicole later says she was threatened about going to the police, but she did anyway, and Cleveland was arrested and charged with R. He ultimately pled guilty to aggravated assault with intent to R. You know, it seems like they all get away with, well, not they all, a lot of them get away with it because they have somebody unaccomplished, right? So you had somebody that you told to watch while you did this horrific crime, and they actually stood there and watched. Now, allegedly, a lot of things that Diddy did, there were people that watched or that, you know, turned a blind eye or that kept cover while he did what he allegedly did. I don't understand those individuals either. Of course, Diddy's being accused of SANR by numerous people, with many civil cases against him pending. The second day of jury selection in Diddy's federal criminal trial wrapped up not long ago, with another 16 potential jurors, mostly men, added to the jury pool. Let's hear from one juror who said it was a daunting task to, go through this jury pool thing. Let's listen.
So how was it today?
Long and annoying.
No way. Did you hope to be picked or did you not want to get picked?
I really didn't care much to get picked.
So you didn't care much to get picked?
No.
Why not? Just
cause.
I mean,
no reason.
Were you a fan?
No, not a big fan. I knew him, but not a fan.
Right. So what made the judge kind of say, "Hey, no, we don't want to have you"? Was there anything in particular?
Based on the questions.
Okay. Is there anything that you can disclose to us about that, or no?
I'm not sure.
I mean, well, you've been dismissed. You're not going to come back tomorrow, right?
No, I'm not.
So you can tell us because you've been dismissed. You're not going to come back and be on the case.
Okay.
Right? You're not going to be on the case.
Not at
okay,
all.
yeah. So you're totally fine to talk to us. Right. So What did he ask you?
Well, most of the questions were about sexual cases,
Right.
sexual,
Right.
domestic violence.
And you would have been maybe biased in that instance?
Probably, yeah. Based on one of the questions they asked me, yeah. I guess
Right.
they felt that it probably would have.
Well, what are you hoping the outcome is?
Honestly, I don't care.
Okay, so either way, you're good. You're not going to be following this case.
No, I'm not.
Okay, we appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's interesting. So there are some individuals in this world that are not that intertwined into this Diddy thing, because she says she good. She not going to be following the case, and she don't care if he gets found guilty or innocent. She don't have a dog in his fight, so to speak. Let's take a listen.
Officially on trial for crimes that could put him away for the rest of his life if he's convicted. And I got to say, before we get into the strategy of picking a jury, which is what they're going to be doing this week,
underway right now.
The way he appeared itself is really interesting.
Is also part of strategy, no doubt. That is Diddy on the right there in a black sweater with a white, looks like a button-up shirt underneath it, and his hair extremely white. At first, I thought there was a different sketch where I thought, oh, maybe it's just a little, salt and pepper. No, his hair is considerably grayed, and interesting that they did not opt to dye that before he came into court.
Oh, I think that makes total sense for the defense. This is complicated for the defense because at its core, they are going to acknowledge that Diddy led this kind of swinger lifestyle, but they're saying it was not criminal. So then, you may think, oh, it's irrelevant how people dress. It is not irrelevant. And we've talked about this, that, for example, what the Menendez brothers did in that first trial, that did not get them convicted. It was a hung jury, wearing those sweaters where you try and make the jury think, how can I juxtapose what they did against what I'm seeing?
Right.
And that's a way that really resonates
Your point is
with jurors.
looking like a harmless older man.
I think that's the point.
Is the look.
I think that's absolutely the point. Everybody thought he was going to come in a suit, and he did not. And I think that's really interesting. But jury selection is underway right now. And I think there are some really interesting factors at play. And we talked about this a lot in the Two Angry Men podcast, myself and Mark Garagos. But I think it's worth talking about this, that, there has been a lot of talk about minors being involved and celebrity sex tapes. We've just heard that, the swirl since all of this started.
But the reason we've heard all that is because some of those things have been alleged in these civil lawsuits that have been filed against him.
Exactly.
And so
the reality is neither of those play a part in the criminal case. And in a weird sort of way, the defense, at least, I think, would want jurors who believe that there will be evidence about minors, there will be celebrity sex tapes, because...
So here's my question. How do you get that out of a potential juror as they're
you find out what
now?
Yeah, what the judge is asking. What do you know about the case? Because everybody's heard something. I mean, all these jurors, you can't find anybody
if the
in New
potential
York.
juror answers, well, I've heard that he may have done this, he may have done this, and they're mentioning things that are in the civil lawsuits for the defense, you want that person because once the trial starts, they're not going to hear any of that evidence.
It disappoints.
Because it has nothing, so they're just, and that it may read to them like, the prosecution doesn't have as much as I thought.
As much as I thought, and it happened in the Rodney King case. I covered it. It happened in the O.J. Simpson case. And, in a weird way, you want jurors who are confused with all the civil allegations and the criminal case.
Right.
So that's one factor that's involved here.
Yeah, no, I think you're 100% right. You want that mismatch of the jurors' expectations that this is going to be tawdry, there's going to be sex tapes, there's going to be minors involved. And then when the prosecutors focus on just 3 main victims, or 4 main victims if you count Cassie, they're going to really feel underwhelmed. And I think that's going to play to the defense's strength. I think you're exactly right.
I don't know
about
that they feel underwhelmed.
The other thing that's not going to be, I mean, they're going to see that video.
They're going to see the video.
And we know that video will have an impact on them, even though he is not being charged for this. It has nothing to do with any of the 4 counts he's facing.
Everybody concedes. The defense, we know the defense knows. I mean, our sources are pretty good on both sides here. The defense knows that this is a huge mountain for them to climb.
Yeah. And we know this in our documentary where we talked about Diddy's possible defenses. We had a mock jury. There were jurors who acknowledged
Case closed.
that once they saw that video, it colors their view of everything else related to Diddy.
So here's why it's going to be difficult finding a jury. Number one, the trial minimum is going to last. I know they said 6 weeks. That's not true.
Now,
But we're here
today. They said 8 weeks.
Well, that was what the judge said.
Yeah.
But what I'm hearing is the prosecutors have about 6 weeks of testimony. The defense has 2 weeks of testimony. But then when you add in closing argument, when you add in opening statements, and not even counting deliberations and verdict, you're getting close to 9 weeks with that. So good luck finding jurors who are going to say, yeah, I got 9 weeks. You know, what about vacations?
Yeah.
What about family?
Right.
What about hardship with working?
Starting, yeah.
And also a lot of people just don't want to be part of this because they don't want to target whichever way they go. And so it's going to be hard. The final thing I want to say is bias, that you are never going to find jurors who are a blank slate. You almost don't want jurors with a blank slate because they're so disconnected.
Right.
But even if they have an opinion, what you're looking for are jurors who say, I can still just listen to the evidence and go the way it is. You can't just say to them, oh, can you be unbiased? Because they're all going to say yes, or most of them.
Right.
And that doesn't mean they are.
Well, you're trying to read things out of their other answers, right? To try and determine
That's
whether
right.
or not.
Well, I think the game is actually what you first said. You're trying to bring people and import their biases when they favor your side. So obviously the defense is not going to want people who are very sensitive to domestic violence. They're going to say that's going to cut against us because they're going to watch that Cassie video. On the prosecutor side, they are going to want people who bring in those sensitivities to sort of amplify the stories of their witnesses during the prosecution's presentation of evidence.
Final thing is, the way you ask about bias is not to say, can you put aside your bias? Because, don't believe what they say. But what you say is, give me an example. Give me an example of something that you really believed at some point in your life that was important to you, and somebody changed your mind. Because if you can give a concrete example of that, it shows that they're open to it. But this is not going to be easy.
Hey, Tim, it's Malik Australia calling out of Detroit, Michigan. And just reading more about this trial, I heard it is an all-female-based trial so far as the jurors getting picked, and hoping that people picking the decision of the victims, because so much stuff that is out. This is one of those cases that you can read about, unfortunately, anytime you want to, even as a juror, to where, like you said, the evidence already put out there, and it paints the story of Diddy and what he did so far to all these victims, minors, also these sex tapes. So I agree with you, Howie, on that too, that all this stuff should come into fold, even if he's not charged for it, there's still some type of evidence of things he has done.
By the way, Diddy spoke in court today.
Yes, he spoke up and told the judge he was nervous. The reason that came up, he was asking for a bathroom break about 90 minutes into the proceedings, into jury selection. He told the judge, look, I'm more nervous than I thought I was going to be. Could I get a bathroom break? And the judge allowed it.
We are going to follow this every day. And we're actually going to have a Tubi special every week on Friday nights. We're going to have a documentary that drops where we are going to have insiders on what goes on in this trial.
Interesting. So listen, guys, let me know your thoughts on Diddy finally getting what he wanted. He wanted a Black female lawyer. He got her. I think a background as to what happened to her in 2001 is interesting, that she can be on this case. It shows she has a high level, I'm sorry, there's something flying in my face, a high level of emotional intelligence, right? Anyway, guys, chat with me in the comments, and when I get opportunity, I will chat back. If you're not a subscriber, subscribe. Hit the notification bell so that every time I upload a video, you will be notified. If you are a subscriber, welcome back. Everybody, thanks for watching. Let me know your thoughts. See you on the next video.